In this video, we're going to talk about Saquon Barkley and the New York Giants and how he rejected a $14 million contract. And we're going to get into it in this video, and it starts right now. Now, if you're a Giants fan, you would consider this offseason to be a success. They were able to re-sign to a 4-year deal quarterback Daniel Jones. They had a very good draft. A lot of people said they had a great draft. They filled needs with the first 3 picks of the draft. In the first round, they selected Deonte Banks. With their second selection, they selected Michael Schmitz, offensive lineman, who's going to probably be the center on this team. He's probably going to start right away. And of course, they traded up to select wide receiver from Tennessee, Jalen Hyatt, who has had a very good college year for the Volunteers. If you want to see some stuff and some great stuff from a player that's going to be a Giant, check out the video on YouTube of him against Alabama this past year when he scored 5 touchdowns and ran for over 200 yards reception-wise. Excellent. I watched that game. He was great. And, of course, they did a great job with the back end of the draft, selecting guys like Trey Hawkins III, Eric Banks, running back who will compete with the running backs, the backups anyway. Who else? They signed and selected Jordan Riley and, of course, Javarius Owens, a defensive back. All these guys all have the ability and the chance to make the Giants this year and be on the team, be on the 53-man roster. So the Giants have had a very successful offseason, and they made a trade. They brought in a very good tight end. So they've diversified this offense, and they've filled needs that they need. They need to bulk up the offensive line. They did that. They got another wide receiver in here, another deep threat, and he's a deep threat. He catches it, and he takes off. He's very tough to outrun. And so the Giants have had a good offseason. The one thing that has happened, as well as signing long-term Daniel Jones, who was a free agent, another free agent was Saquon Barkley. Now, the Giants signed him and gave him a franchise tag, meaning that the Giants had exclusive rights to re-sign him and have him come back. Now, he has not signed on the dotted line with the Giants. And there's a report that he was offered $14 million to re-sign with the Giants, and so far that has not happened. So I'm going to read you a couple things. I hope you like it. The New York Giants and running back Saquon Barkley remained at an impasse despite both sides wanting to work out a long-term contract. Midway through last season, the Giants offered Barkley a deal worth $12.5 million, and it was rejected. GM Joe Schoen promised to revisit negotiations early in the offseason and remain true to his word. Prior to placing the franchise tag on his superstar running back, Schoen offered Barkley and his camp a deal worth $13 million, and again, it was rejected. Bob Brookover of New Jersey Advanced Media now reports that the Giants attempted to sweeten the pot, offering Barkley that $13 million deal with $1 million in additional incentives, bringing the total possible contract to $14 million. So he wants a long-term deal. And this is what Brookover wrote. The Giants, according to sources, offered Barkley a multi-year deal worth $12.5 million a season at the bye week, then increased that number to $13 million for a chance to get to $14 million in incentives shortly after the season. Barkley rejected both deals. He and his agent, Kim Malley, obviously overestimated the running back market. They could argue that Barkley doesn't know his true value because he was blocked from testing the free agent market if the Giants used a franchise tag on him. Barkley and his camp reportedly remained firm on their $16 million ask, which would make him the highest paid running back in the league alongside Christian McCaffrey, who has an AAV of $16.02 million. At $14 million, assuming he maxed out his incentives, Barkley would have been the 3rd highest paid running back in football behind the aforementioned McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints. The Giants have until July 17th to work out a long-term deal, or Barkley will be stuck playing on the franchise tender for $10.1 million, which is $3.9 million less than he could have potentially earned on the now rejected deal. Now, here's a problem. There is a possibility that Barkley might not be signed by the time we get to minicamp. He might not go to camp. He might not go to camp. There's a very good chance he might sit camp out. We don't want him sitting minicamp out. The Giants had a great offseason, and he's a big part of the Giants' season. So they don't need him, and he doesn't need to be on the sidelines at home watching these preseason games and not getting his reps in and not practicing with his teammates. This puts the Giants in a bind if he doesn't sign this, at least this franchise tag. And he's better off just taking less money and playing great. And he played great last year, but he kind of ran out of gas in the middle of the season because the Giants were using him so much due to the fact that they were a really strong running game. I would mention this about John Michael Schmitz. He is very strong on the ground, meaning that because the Giants have such a strong ground game with Daniel Jones who can run and Barkley who can run, he's going to have a big impact on this team. So the Giants know how important Barkley is to this team. It's going to be up to him whether he accepts a little bit less for this season and more down the line, because he's going to get a big contract from somebody going into next season. But if he opts out, if he doesn't go to camp and he doesn't sign the franchise tag, then he's missing out. And we don't want to see him miss out. The Giants, like I said, we're in a good situation with the Giants. They're building. We have a good young coach. We have a good young general manager who's aggressive, smart. He has a really smart offseason, the way he built this team up. And this should continue. There's no reason not to. Well, let me know what you think about this video. Please subscribe to the Football Hut. Thank you for watching. Leave comments in the comments section. And thank you, and I'll see you later.